Hey, everybody, welcome back. Guess what? It's the last episode. We are about to finish God of War 1. And I'm going to dive into God of War 2 as soon as I can. But, in the meantime, let's finish up the Artemis and Apollo conversation. So, Apollo is known as the god of music, healing, and much more. There's a lot of stuff he's been kind of known for. So, let's go down the list. Let's start off with, lineage, if you will. His parents, Zeus and the goddess Leto. He's had many different children. He's had Asclepius with Coronis, Linus and Orpheus with Calliope, who was a muse, as many others. But those three are the big named ones. Some of his attributes, we don't see him with facial hair ever. But he does have long hair. He'd either have a bow and a quiver, or a lyre, or some form of a laurel branch. Now, some of his cult titles: the Paean, P-A-E-A-N, which just is like Paean, which means healer. The Pythian, or Pythian, not exactly, I don't know what exactly that meant. He's also known as the Catharsius, or Purifier. And he was also the Musagetes, or Musagetes, M-U-S-A-G-E-T-E-S, or the leader of the Muses. Some of the sanctuaries and rituals that were accompanied to him was the Delos. It's an island where Leto gave birth to Apollo and Artemis, and there Apollo had a sanctuary as well as an annual festival, in his honor. Delphi, who was an oracular shrine in central Greece where Apollo, through the use of his priestesses and Pythias would dispense or discuss oracles. They would dispense of oracle stories or fortunes, or they'd tell the future, that kind of a thing. And last is the Hyacinthia, which is an initiation rites for young boys near Sparta and the neighboring town of Amyclae. So it basically got them into either being oracles or Pythians. Basically we just kind of get them into being, I am now an oracle under the guise of Apollo. Now, Apollo's first appearance he's in Homer's Iliad. Like in actual, text, not just written or oral tradition to oral stories. But he's in Homer's Iliad, and he's in back-to-back scenes in the book. The first scene, he's destroyed by Greeks while, on the battlefield with his own bow and arrow. And as well as a plague. It's kind of not exactly up for interpretation, but it's kind of a mixture. Well, did he have the plague and then he just got hit by an arrow and it killed him? Or, did he have the arrow, get shot by the arrow and the arrow got infected with the plague and killed him? So it's, But just know that, his bow and arrow, his own, and the plague attributed to him being killed. But then the next scene, he's singing with his lyre during a feast on Olympus. So it's kind of like, he's not exactly, dead than alive, but he's dead, heaven. That's it. Just kind of boom, bam. He's already up there.
Kratos had traversed the desert of lost souls, bested the deadly traps of Pandora's temple, and escaped Hades itself. There was but one task left.
Zeus! Do you see now what your son can do? You cast your favor on Athena, but her city lies in ruins before me. And now, Even Pandora's box is mine. Would you have me use it against Olympus itself?
Kratos, returned even from the underworld.
Is this the best you can do, Father? You send a broken mortal to defeat me, the god of war?
And this fight sucks. I hated this fight. Still do.
After thousands of years, Pandora's box was finally opened. The power of the gods unleashed.
You are still just a mortal. Every bit as weak as the day you begged me to save your life.
I am not the same man you found that day. The monster you've created has returned to kill you.
You have no idea what a true monster is, Kratos.
I'm a spider.
Your final lesson is at hand.
Okay. So, Apollo and the healing arts. Now, Apollo could, he could both unleash as well as cure any city of diseases and plagues. So it's kind of, kind of a cool thing, because he's like, oh, the city's infected with plagues, wash my hands and ta-da, you guys are healed. But hey, this dude stiffed me on garlic bread, plague, and his son Asclepius ended up becoming known as the god of healing, and kind of had a bit of a gruesome birth. So, talking about Asclepius' birth, Apollo, he falls in love with this mortal woman called Coronis. And, they kind of get it on. And, she's like, okay, I love you. That was great. Hey, Steve, you want to hanky-panky with me? Okay, cool. And she ends up sleeping with some other dude. And so Apollo finds out about this, and he's like, WTF, man? My chick is banging some other dude. So he grabs her and just, hi, bye, throws her into the fire. And he's like, well, here's what we're going to do. Hermes, do me a favor, get that baby. You're going to get that baby. I don't care about her. You get that baby and you bring it to me. That is my boy. I don't need her no more. So Hermes is like, okay, yoink, grab her. Grab Asclepius. So Asclepius is raised and educated by the centaur Chiron, who is also the teacher of Achilles and Patroclus. And it looks like he's kind of has maybe a gimp leg, or a kind of maybe one of his legs didn't really form properly, or might have been disfigured because of the burn or from the fire, or the way that maybe Hermes grabbed him by the leg and yanked him out, and it permanently screwed up his leg. And you can kind of see Asclepius and recognize him, because you see him with the rod with a single serpent on it, which is again what you see with you will see it on ambulances and the medical field. You'll see the one rod. But sometimes you see two, but sometimes you might see one. That's where it's, and I've already talked about that. That's where it's coming from. So there is a sanctuary for Asclepius at Epidaurus, and it's this huge complex. And it's got temples, it's got dorms, it's almost like a university kind of thing, where it's this one building with a bunch of different, or there's one building, but first floor, dorms, second floor is temples, third floor is, human resources, whatever. And people would go there and they would want to stay because they would hope for, like, it's almost like a sleep study in a way. They would go there and they'd be like, okay, I'm going to have, I'm sick. So I'm going to go here where, the dreams and the healing and so on and so on and so on. Maybe my dreams of, oh, look, a rabbit told me to talk to Darth Vader at a paintball range. And that. So I need to find a rabbit,
Kratos for the past 10 years had now
talk to Darth Vader at a paintball range, and next thing you know, I'm cured.
Past stood before him.
Now, Apollo.
Kratos!
The family.
What's happening? Where are we?
By the gods, can this be real?
And now we have to save our family. Now, Apollo is an oracular god, someone who speaks, who tells the stories of the gods. And he's supposed to have, like, knowledge of the world and of the future. Hey, you're not going to be able to, your prized goat is going to die in a year, or your children are going to grow up and become lawyers, or whatever, or the world is going to stop turning on, what was the Mayan calendar, like December 1st, 2012 or something like that. Basically, he's got this kind of like foresight. And the knowledge is supposed to basically be that, like, he either is channeling Zeus, and Zeus is like, I'm thinking of a number, and Apollo's like 17, and he goes, yes, that's it, that's the number. Or it's kind of, because his dad is Zeus, that he gets that kind of, that he's got that kind of foresight and knowledge. Now, again, some of his famous sanctuaries is the Didyma in Asia Minor and Delphi in Greece. And there's some of the sources that are, according to these sanctuaries, they have some sort of like sayings, such as some things like know thyself and nothing in excess. Which, they're not bad sayings. You want to know who you are. You want to know your weaknesses, your strengths, and especially, nothing in excess. Because, you don't know anything about self-control until you hear bottomless nachos. I'm just saying. So anyways, the Oracle at Delphi. The Pythias, which is Apollo's priestesses at the Oracle of Delphi. So that's basically what they were. Oh, you're a Pythias. You're a priestess at this location. And what is it? 300. When King Leonidas climbs up and sees that little girl and she's doing her weird, like, I'm on acid dance, that's basically what you're basically seeing there. And they will be visited by kings, leaders, village elders, and all this other stuff from all over the Greek world, as well as beyond the Greek world. So, like, for example, King Croesus, Croesus, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, of Lydia's famous misinterpretation. Not exactly sure what that was. I'm going to have to look that up, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But it's also was associated with the Pan-Hellenic games and festivals. Now, Cassandra was another famous individual. She was a Trojan princess who promised herself. She says, "I'm gonna marry Apollo." And I guess back then, you say, "I'm gonna marry Apollo." Guess what? My word is my bond. Captain Hook or Peter Pan Hook kind of thing. My word is my bond. But she's like, no. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. I take it back. And So Apollo's like, oh, well, you say you want to, you say you want to get with me, but then you don't? Well, guess what? I'm going to give you the gift of prophecy. So I'm going to make it seem like, oh man, you're going to be able to see the future. But he makes it appear as if but yet her prophecies appear to be untrue to everyone else. So it kind of makes it harder for, basically people are just like, yeah, whatever, yeah, sure, okay, here comes another Cassandra miracle. And these are all visuals. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of like I said, it's kind of hard for me to show some of these images, to talk about what they look like when, yeah. So what we're gonna do, but they were already dead.
Kratos, please take us home.
Do you see, God of War? You took them once, but you'll never have them again.
You cannot save them, Kratos. You gave them up in your quest for ultimate power. There is a price to pay for everything you gain.
Not that price. I didn't want them to die.
No price is too high for what I offered.
And you rejected me.
A god!
Now, you will have no power.
No magic! All that is left for you is death!
Oh, not again.
You should have joined me, Kratos.
Look at my fiery sword.
Been stronger.
By the gods.
The battle was not over. The gods, it seemed, had a final gift for Kratos.
I still have allies in Olympus, Ares. Now, you will see how strong I am.
I think that's more coincidental than, hey, put a giant sword right here. Ares is gonna die in like 40 years. Just watch. Okay. So, with the boys' initiations, like I was saying, the Hyacinthia. Now, Apollo presides and kind of oversees the initiation, like the initiatory rites or rituals for boys and young men. He kind of sees it's like, okay, here's your gift bag, here's your here's your piece of paper, your notebook, your notepad, your backpack. Take all these, go and sit in the classroom, go, kind of deal. Now, what he does is he leads young men from childhood into public life. Why, so that way they can gain status and recognition. So, and back then, kids, it's like you can grow your hair to however long you want. Just whatever, just don't cut your hair. But when it's time to grow up, it's time to cut your hair. Kind of like Jim in The Office. When, what was his girlfriend's name? The chick from Parks and Rec, when she told him to get a haircut so he doesn't look homeless, as he says. Basically, it's that kind of a thing, where he's like, I gotta slick my hair back, I gotta get it combed, I gotta get it, right, because I have this job meeting, or this interview, or whatever kind of thing. That's basically, like, step one kind of thing. Now, Apollo is not exactly without fault in this thing. He accidentally kills the young boy, Hyacinthus, while throwing a discus. It's not really known whether he was, like Artemis, where brother's like, check it out, I bet you can't hit that little floating thing in the water, or if he's like, hey, check it out, I can throw this discus over the mountains, and whoop, and next thing you know, he throws it, he slices it way into the woods, and it hits the kid, and he's dead. So, and what they do is they end up having like a 3-day festival at the end, or the 3-day festival is more of like the end result. You know, it's a form of ritualized loss where he's like, crap, we need to, again, another festival, but mourning to kind of mourn. It's like, I screwed up. So, the first day, day 1, Hyacinthus is mourned, sacrifices are made at the tomb, boo-hoo, sad. Okay. The second day, there's a procession from Sparta to Amyclae with athletic contest, running of the games, there's the carrying the sheep, discus throw, although that, I don't know if that's specifically what happened, but it'd be kind of maybe ixnay on the iscus day kind of thing. And unfortunately, little's known about the third day, but some scholars are kind of thinking that, it's probably more like joyful, where it's like, okay, we did our sadness, we had some happy athletic games, and now we're rejoicing that now he's up on Mount Olympus, or he's in heaven, things are great, don't worry about that discus anymore, kind of deal. And so some of these initiation rites, like I said, it wasn't just for men or for boys, it was for boys and for girls. And both of the kids, they gave up certain things. They gave up certain behaviors, so so they're not that wild and crazy kids. They're more, I'm sophisticated. I'm reading the New Yorker. I work for the Fortune 500. My name is Patrick Bateman. Kind of, well, bad example, but, Anyways, they basically become contributing members to society, and they, it's time to stop playing games and become an adult. So, what happens with boys? They become more tough and strong. Like you see, a good example would be like 300, where you see the kid and he's being trained. You're being trained to be tough and strong, and maybe not physically strong, but maybe more mentally strong, because maybe you're going to be an orator, or maybe you're going to be a politician, or whatever. You need to be tougher and stronger in both probably physical and mental capacity. Now, girls, their initiation is to become more domesticated, where I have to take care of the house, I have to take care of the home, I have to carry on my family tree as well as my husband's family tree. I have to be that, the suburban housewife, basically. And that, perfectly timed, is kind of where we're ending with Apollo.
In your time of greatest need.
I haven't forgotten, Ares. I remember how you saved me.
That night, I was trying to make you a great warrior.
You succeeded.
And so having family, it makes you a weak warrior?
Kratos had done the impossible. A mortal defeating a god. Ares was no more.
So every god is an atomic bomb?
The city had been saved and would thrive again. The same could not be said for Kratos, for as he sought to rebuild his soul with the help of the gods, the truth was revealed to him.
Athena, Rid me of the memories that haunt me still.
You have done well, Kratos. Though we mourn the death of our brother, the gods are indebted to you. We promised your sins would be forgiven, and so they are. But we never promised to take away your nightmares. No man, no god could ever forget the terrible deeds you have done.
In the end, knowing the visions of his past would never leave him, Kratos made his way to the bluffs overlooking the Aegean Sea.
The gods of Olympus have abandoned me. Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness. The fate of Kratos was not as it seemed. The gods had other plans. Borne aloft like a feather, Kratos found himself risen from the sea and placed on solid earth.
You will not die this day, Kratos. The gods cannot allow one who has performed such service to perish by his own hand. Ares' tactics were brutal. His path of destruction had to be stopped. But now there is an empty throne in Olympus, and a new god of war is needed.
Did you bring your
Take these
resume?
stairs, Kratos. They lead to your ultimate reward.
Oh, Athena's blades. This, honestly, this is one of the biggest, like, screw yous for gaming. Like, you're at the end of the game. Like, once I beat this game and save it, you don't keep those blades. So it's just like, what's the point? You know, it's just like, it might as well just be a participation trophy. Save it just because. I don't know why they would put a save point right here. Final battle. And I believe it's this one over here. But yeah, if you, like, I don't know if they kept it in, but on the PS2 version, if you, like, you gotta sit here for a good, like, 5 or 10 minutes. Just beating on those statues. Eventually they'll break. And it'll, like, reveal this phone number, this, like, 1-800 phone number or whatever. And if you called it, you would actually hear the guy who does the voice for Kratos, like, "This is Kratos. Congratulations on fighting the secret," or something. I don't know. But basically it was a phone number to listen to Kratos for a couple seconds.
From that point forward, throughout the rest of time, whenever men rode forth to battle for good cause or for evil, they did so under the watchful eye of the man who had defeated a god. They were driven forward by Kratos, the mortal who had become the new god of war.
Hey, they said the name of the title. Congratulations, you have conquered God of War. Prepared to be a god. Now attempt God mode. If I don't have to, if there's no trophy behind it, no thank you. I have to see what trophies I have missed. Yeah, I think this is a game, you know, good enough of a game to kind of sit and watch the credits. And I actually enjoyed this. I actually enjoyed playing this game. I enjoyed doing the whole, you know, Greek mythology, you know, the notes that I took for my class, and almost, you know, just reading them off and just talking about these different gods. And I think we'll probably have enough to get through God of War 2. I don't remember how long God of War 2 is, but we'll see. I doubt we'll get into God of War 3, still having stuff to talk about. But again, it's just kind of, I don't know, I see this kind of fitting, where I'm just not sitting here just playing the game. You know, I'm talking about Greek mythology, and it actually gives me something to talk about as opposed to just shutting up and playing the damn game. And I don't know, I've always been kind of curious and interested in the Greek mythology, and when I had the opportunity to take it, I'm thinking, perfect. You know, I used this as I used God of War, the Iliad, and the Odyssey as part of my final project. My my final report for my grade. So, but yeah, I mean, the games, you can definitely tell that they, you know, all they really did is they just cleaned up a little bit of the graphics and pretty much just ported over the PS2 version, which again, it's not bad. You know, it's just PS2 to PS3, not PS2 to PS4. But I like the game. You know, they did take some liberties, but I mean, you know, I think it's a very niche market where, you know, we're gonna make a video game exactly about what the gods did. Now, I know there's like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I definitely want to play that. Granted, I do know that it's going to be, you know, I don't know, I think it's like 40 hours or something like that, 30, 40 hours to beat the game, which hopefully, if and when I get around to getting it, if you guys are up for it, I would not mind if you guys hung around and watched, but, you know, that's for another time. I need to start God of War 2. I'll need to find time to get that started, and when I do, like I said, we will start. I don't know what the next section is, but I do know that we will continue with these Greek mythology discussions and play some God of War. So it's a win-win. At least I think so. But if you're enjoying this, why not do me a favor? Like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See ya!